Coffee would be nice. Even a sip. Wouldn't have any idea what's going on, would you?
I was walking down the street.
Me too. Something told me don't go outside today. So I went out. Weeks go by, I don't even open my door. Today I go out. And I had no reason. I wasn't even going anywhere. They get picked up the same way.
I've only been here a couple of minutes myself, just before they brought you in.
Does anybody know anything? This isn't a police station, is it?
Doesn't seem so. It's just some building they're using, I guess.
It's painted like a police station, though. It must be an international police paint. They're always the same color everywhere. Like dead clams and a little yellow mixed in. That... You begin wishing you committed a crime, you know? I mean, something definite.
Try to take it easy. We'll find out soon.
It's just that I haven't eaten since 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon. And everything gets more vivid when you're hungry. You ever notice that?
I'd give you something, but I forgot my lunch this morning. As a matter of fact, I was just turning back to get it when they came up alongside me. Hey, why don't you try to sit down and relax?
No, I'm nervous, thank you. I mean, I'm nervous anyway. I was even nervous before the war. Sir, is that the way they picked you up on the street? No, not him. You? You? Yeah, they pick you up the same. Sir? Well, Jesus, pardon me for living.
It's perfectly obvious. It's a routine identity check.
Huh?
Well, with all the strangers pouring into Vichy this past year, there are probably a lot of spies and God knows what. It's just a document check, that's all.
What about you? You think so?
I don't know.
Why? There are thousands of people running around with false papers. We all know that. You just can't let that happen in wartime. Besides, now with the Germans starting to take over, bound to be more strict. It's inevitable.
You don't get any special flavor, huh?
What flavor?
Some racial implication?
I think you have nothing to fear if your papers are all right.
Listen, you're Peruvian, aren't you?
What's the matter with you asking questions like that in a place like this?
What am I supposed to do? Just sit here like a dumb beast?
Hey, friend, it's no good getting hysterical.
I think we've had it. I think all the Peruvians have had it in Vichy. In 1939, I had an American visa. A month before the invasion, I actually had it right in my hand.
Calm down. This may all be routine.
Listen, that man right there, you think he's Jewish or not?
I don't know. Maybe he is and maybe he's not.
What about you?
Will you stop asking idiotic questions? You're making yourself ridiculous.
But I am ridiculous, aren't you? In 1939, we were packed for America. Suddenly, my mother wouldn't leave the furniture. You know why I'm here? I'm here because of a brass bed, some fourth-rate crockery, and a stubborn, ignorant woman.
Yeah, but it's not all that simple. You should try to think of why things happen. It helps to know the meaning of one's suffering.
What meaning? If my mother would have left the furniture.
Your mother? The monopoly's got control of Germany. Big business is out to make slaves of everyone. That's why you're here.
Yeah, well, I'm not a philosopher, but I know my mother, and that's why I'm here. You know what you're like? You're like people who look at my paintings and they say, what does this mean? What does that mean? Look at it. Don't ask me what it means. You're not God. You can't tell me what anything means. I'm walking down the street before. A car pulls up. A man gets out of the car. He walks right up to me, measures my nose, my mouth, my ears. The next thing I know, I'm sitting in a police station. Whatever the hell this is here. And in the middle of Europe, the highest peak of civilization. You know what it means? And after the Greeks, the Romans, and the Renaissance, do you know what it means?
You're talking out of confusion.
It's because I'm utterly confused. Damn it. I want some coffee!
Excuse me. Could one use a telephone? It's very urgent. I have an appointment at 11 o'clock. It's very urgent.
Isn't it wonderful? The man is probably on his way to work in a German coal mine, and he's worried about breaking an appointment. And people want realistic painting. You see what I mean? Psst. Did they measure your nose? Could you at least tell me that?
No. They just stopped me and asked me for my papers. I showed them, and they took me in.
I agree with you, sir. Vichy must be full of counterfeit papers. I think as soon as they get started, it shouldn't take long. Try to settle down.
Did they measure your nose?
I think it'd be best if we all kept quiet.
Huh? What is it, my clothes? How the hell do you know? I might be the greatest painter in France.
For your sake, I hope you are.
What a crew! I mean, the animosity.
You know, with the manpower shortage, you'd think they'd economize on their personnel. The car that stopped me, there was a driver, and there were 2 French detectives, and there was a German official of some kind. Well, they could have put a newspaper ad, and everyone would have come here to present their documents. This way, you waste a whole morning, aside from the embarrassment.
I'm not embarrassed. I'm scared to death. You embarrassed?
Look, if you can't be serious, just leave me alone.
Gypsy. Why'd they pick him up? Gypsies never have papers.
Well, in his case, it might be some other reason. He probably stole that pot.
No. On the sidewalk. Fix. Make nice. Sit down to fix, come police.
But of course, they'll tell you anything, right?
It's a hell of a thing to say to him. Would you say that to a man with pressed pants?
Oh, they don't mind. They're proud of their stealing, aren't you? Huh? You know, I have a place in the country, and they come there every summer. I like them personally, especially their music. Da 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 da. Oh, we often listen to them sitting around their campfires. But they'll steal the eyes right out of your head, right?
Why shouldn't he steal? How'd you get your money?
I happen to be in business.
So what have you got against stealing?
Are you trying to provoke someone? Is that it?
Huh? Another businessman.
I happen to be an electrician. But a certain amount of solidarity wouldn't hurt right now.
How about some solidarity with gypsies, huh? Just because they don't work 9 to 5?
I know that one. I made him go away about 100 times. He and his wife, they stand outside the cafe with a baby and they beg. Not even their baby.
So what? At least that means they have a little imagination.
But they stand outside whining at the customers all the time through the shrubbery. People don't like it.
You know something? You all remind me of my father. Always worshipped the hard-working Germans. Now you hear it all over France. We have to learn how to work like the Germans. Good God, don't any of you ever read history? Whenever a people starts to work hard, watch out. They're going to kill somebody.
That depends on how production is organized. If it's for private profit, of course.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? When did the Russians start getting dangerous? When they learned how to work, right? Look at the Germans. The Germans, for 1,000 years, a peaceful, disorganized people. They start into work, they're on everybody's back. Nobody's afraid of the Africans, are they? You know why? Because they don't work. Read the Bible. Work is a curse. You're not supposed to worship work.
And how do you propose to produce anything?
That's the problem. What are you laughing at? That is the problem, yes. To work without making work a god. What kind of a crew is this?
Good morning, Major.
Oh, good morning.
Do you know him? I serve him breakfast every morning. He's not a bad fellow, truly. He's regular army, see? Not one of those SS bums. Got wounded somewhere, so they stuck him back here. He's only been here about a month or so, but he and I, you know, we have conversations.
Excuse me. I wonder if you'd oblige me by allowing me to use the telephone. You see, I'm the manager of a food supply company.
I am not in charge of this procedure. You will have to wait for the captain of police.
Beg your pardon?
He's not a bad fellow, really. He comes to the cafe at night sometimes, too. Plays a beautiful piano. And he's giving himself lessons in French out of a book. Always has a few nice words to say, too.
Does he know that you're Peruvian?
Don't discuss that here, for God's sakes. What's the matter with you?
Can I try to find out what I'm in here for? If it's a routine identity check, that's one thing. But if they're rounding up Peruvian...
You should turn your weight.
Not to give me any more trouble now, huh?
Sir, I must ask the reason for this. I'm a combat officer, captain in the French army. There's no authority to arrest me in French territory. The occupation has not revoked French law in southern France.
Speechmaker.
You think you two can handle it now?
Oh, we've got the idea, Professor. There's certain neighborhoods they head for when they run away from Paris or wherever it is they come from. I can get you as many as you can handle.
It's a question of knowing the neighborhoods, you see. In my opinion, there are several thousand in Vichy on false papers.
You go ahead then.
Saint-Père.
Yes, sir.
Try to avoid taking anybody out of the crowd. Just cruise around the way we did before and pick them up one at a time. There are all kinds of rumors. We don't want to alarm people. Huh?
Right, sir, right.
All right. Now, I'm just about to order coffee. Will you gentlemen have some?
Please.
And a croissant for the Major.
Sir, I believe I'm the first.
This way.
Thank you. I'm in a very great hurry. You see, my appointment's with the Minister of Supply and Development.
Amiens.
What about Amiens?
June 9th, 40. I was in the 16th Artillery facing you. I recognize your insignia, which of course I could hardly forget.
Well, that was a bad day for you fellows.
And evidently for you.
Can't complain.
What's this all about?
Oh, it seems they're checking on identification papers.
What's the procedure?
But they just started. That businessman was the first.
Did they measure your nose, sir?
Measure my nose.
Yeah, they measured my nose right on the street.
Now listen, I don't want anybody quoting me. Is that understood? I work in the railway yards. A 30-car freight train pulled in yesterday. The engineer was Polish, so I couldn't talk with him. But one of the switchmen says he heard people inside.
Inside the car?
Yes. It came from Toulouse. I heard there's been a quiet roundup of Jews in Toulouse the last couple of weeks. And what's a Polish engineer doing on a train in southern France? Do you understand?
Concentration camp.
Why? A lot of people are volunteering for work in Germany. That's no secret. They're doubling the ration for anybody who goes.
The cars are locked on the outside. And they stink. You can smell the stench 100 yards away. Babies are crying inside. You can hear them. And women. They don't lock volunteers in that way. I never heard of that.
But I never heard of them applying the racial laws down here. It's still French territory, regardless of the occupation. They've made a big point of that.
The gypsy bothers me.
Gypsy, why?
They're in the same category of the racial laws. Inferior.
Not if you really stole that pot.
Well, yes, I mean, if he stole the pot.
Listen, Gypsy. Gypsy, you steal that pot? You did, didn't you, huh?
No steal. No.
Look, I've got nothing against stealing. Look at me, Gypsy. I'm not one of these types. I slept on the bridges, in parked cars, everywhere. To me, all property is theft anyway, so I've got no prejudice against you.
No steal.
Look, I mean, you're a gypsy, right? So how else can you live?
He steals everything.
You hear? He's probably in here for stealing, that's all.
Excuse me, have you all been arrested for being Jewish? I am terribly sorry. I had no idea.
I said nothing about being Jewish. As far as I know, nobody here is Jewish.
I'm terribly sorry. It's just that I was buying a newspaper and this man got out of a car and told me I had to have my documents checked. I had no idea.
Uh-huh. What'd they grab him for?
I don't understand it. But take my advice. If anything like that happens and you find yourself on that train, there are 4 bolts halfway up the doors on the inside. Try to pick up a nail or a screwdriver or even a sharp stone. You can chisel the wood out from around those bolts and the doors will open. I warn you, don't listen to anything they tell you. I hear they're working Jews to death in the Polish camps.
I happen to have a cousin. They sent him to Auschwitz. That's in Poland, you know. I have several letters from him saying he's fine. But they even taught him bricklaying.
Look, friend, I'm telling you what I heard from people who know. People who make it their business to know, you understand?
I've heard the same thing.
This is so typical. We're in the French zone. Nobody has said a word to us. And we're already on a train for a concentration camp where we'll be dead in a year.
But if the engineer is a Pole, then
So he's a Pole.
Look,
What does
all
that
I'm
prove?
saying is that if you find yourself on that train, get out before it gets where it's going.
I think what this man says should be taken seriously.
In my opinion, you're hysterical. After all, they were picking up Jews in Germany for years before the war. They've been doing it in Paris since they came in. Are you telling me all those people are dead? Is that really conceivable to you? War is war, but you have to keep a certain sense of proportion. I mean, the Germans are still people.
Oh, I don't speak this way because they're Germans.
It's that they're fascists.
Excuse me, no. It's exactly because they're people that I speak this way.
Well, I don't agree with that.
Well, you must have had a peculiar life, is all I can say. I happen to have played in Germany. I know the German people.
Well, I studied in Germany for 5 years and in Austria, and I'll tell you...
In Austria? Where?
Psychoanalytic Institute in Vienna.
You're a psychiatrist. No wonder he's so pessimistic.
Where did you live? I'm Viennese.
Well, excuse me, but perhaps it would be wiser not to speak in detail.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. Yes, of course. I was only curious if you knew Baron Kessler. He was very interested in the medical school.
No, I was never in that circle.
Oh, but he is extremely democratic. He is my cousin, you see.
You're a nobleman?
Yes.
What's your name?
Wilhelm Johann von Berg.
The prince.
Yes. Oh, forgive me. Have we met?
No. But naturally, I've heard your name. I believe it's one of the oldest houses in Austria.
Oh, that's of no importance anymore.
Now, what the hell would they want with an Austrian prince? I mean, you're Catholic, right, Prince?
Yes.
Is your title on your papers?
Yes, on my passport.
Were you, political or something?
No, I never had any interest in that direction. Of course, there's this resentment towards the nobility. That might have something to do with it.
In the Nazis? Resentment?
Certainly.
Really? I've never been aware of that.
Oh, I assure you.
Well, on what ground?
You're not asking that seriously.
Yes, don't be offended. I'm simply ignorant of that situation. I suppose I've always assumed that the aristocracy is behind a reactionary regime.
There are some, certainly, but for the most part, they never took responsibility in any case.
Oh, I see. By responsibility, you mean, I suppose, that
I don't know. Whatever that means.
Forgive me, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to pry into your affairs. I'd never thought about it, but I suppose it's obvious that they would want to destroy whatever power you had.
No, I have no power. And if I did, it would be a day's work for them to destroy it. That's not the issue.
But what is it then? Believe me, I'm not being critical. Quite the contrary.
But these are obvious answers. I have a certain standing. My name is 1,000 years old, and they know the danger if someone like me is perhaps not vulgar enough.
And by vulgar, you mean...
Well, don't you think Nazism, whatever else it may be, is an outburst of vulgarity, an ocean of vulgarity?
You make it sound like they have bad table manners, that's all.
They certainly do, yes. Nothing angers them more than any sign of refinement. It is decadence, you see.
What kind of a statement is that? You mean you left Austria because of their table manners?
Table manners, yes. And their adoration of dreadful art and grocery clerks in uniform telling the orchestra what music it may not play. Vulgarity can be enough to send a man out of his country. I think so, yes.
In other words, if they had elegant table manners and good taste in art and let the orchestra play whatever it liked, they'd be all right with you.
But how would that be possible? Can a people with respect for art go about hounding Jews? Is that possible for an artistic people?
I'd like to agree with you, Prince von Berg, but I have to say the German audience is... I've played there. No audience is as sensitive to the smallest nuance of a performance. They sit in the theater with respect, like in a church. And nobody listens to music like a German, don't you agree? It's a passion with them.
I'm afraid that is true, yes. I don't know what to say.
I understand perfectly. That's perfectly all right. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I show the pass at the door?
Yes.
Good.
What did they ask you, sir?
Could have sworn he was a Jew. Didn't you think so?
You have papers, don't you?
Sure. I have good papers.
Well, just insist that they're valid. Maybe that's what he did.
I wish you'd take a look at them, though.
Well, I'm no expert.
I'd like your opinion, though. You seem to have a good idea what's going on. How do they look to you?
Well, they look good as far as I can tell.
Next.
You, come inside. You can leave that.
Fix. No steal.
I say leave that.
That's mine.
That man did seem Jewish to me. Didn't he to you, Doctor?
I have no idea. Jews are not a race, you know. They can look like anybody.
That's true, though. My father looks like an Englishman. Trouble is, I took after my mother.
Could you take a look at mine, sir? Well, I'm no expert, kid. Anyway, don't sit there looking at it like that.
I think it's a question of credibility. That businessman did carry himself with a certain confidence.
Are you all right, sir?
Come inside. Inside. Come, come. Ah. Well, at last.
Oh, sorry, Captain, but for you I had to make some fresh.
Put it inside on my desk.
Well?
Would you mind if I made a suggestion? You seemed terribly uncertain when you stood up just now.
Me uncertain? You get the wrong man.
Well, please, I'm not criticizing.
Well, naturally, I'm a little nervous. I'm facing a room full of fascists like this.
But that's when one must seem especially self-confident. I'm sure it's what got that businessman out so quickly. The important thing is not to look like a victim, or even to feel like one. They can be very stupid, but they do have a sense for victims.
Well, how does one avoid feeling like a victim when one is a victim?
One must create one's own reality in this world. I'm an actor. We do this all the time. Certain audiences, you see, are very sadistic. The slightest mistake and they'll tear you apart. You must think of yourself as valuable. The man your papers say you are. A forward-looking, unworried Christian Frenchman. Not a frightened, defensive...
Peruvian.
Exactly. The whole thing is illusion anyway. You might as well create your own.
If you can act your way out of this one, Mr. Right, take my hat off. I've had experience with these types. And I warn you, whatever viewpoint you take in there with you, it had better be real, or they'll break you in half.
Real? How?
He makes it all sound so personal. It isn't.
But we have to go in there personally.
But that doesn't mean we're alone. We are members of history.
You mean we're symbols?
All right, yes. Symbols, yes. Do I mean anything to them personally?
No, but you mean something to yourself, surely. You can't be a symbol to yourself.
Yes, I can, and I am. I'm a Marxist.
But the thought of torture...
It frightens me, of course. But they can torture the future, and I am also of the future and out of their hands.
So that, in a sense, you aren't here. You, personally.
In a sense? Why, what's wrong with that?
Nothing. Maybe the best way to hold on to oneself. It's just that ordinarily one tries to experience life. To be in spirit where one's body is.
But who can ever be himself in this society? I mean, really and truly. I put in 10 hours a day for a few francs. I see people that never bend their backs, and they own the planet. How can my spirit be where my body is? I'd have to be an ape.
Then where is your spirit?
In the future. In the day when the working class is master of the world. That's my confidence, and that's what I take in there with me. Not some borrowed personality.
But don't you think... Excuse me. Are not most of the Nazis of the working class?
Well, naturally, with enough propaganda, you can confuse anybody.
But then how can one have such confidence in them?
Who do you have confidence in? The aristocracy?
Very little. But in certain aristocrats, yes, and in certain common people.
Are you telling me that history is a question of certain people? Are we sitting here because we are certain people? Is any of us an individual to them? Class interest makes history, not individuals.
But 99% of the Nazis are working class people.
I concede It's possible to propagandize.
But what cannot be propagandized? Isn't that the point? A few individuals, don't you think so?
You're an intelligent man, Prince. Are you seriously telling me that 5, 10, 1,000, 10,000 decent people of integrity are all that stand between us and the end of everything? You mean this whole world is going to hang on that thread?
I admit it does sound impossible.
If I thought that, I wouldn't have the strength to walk through that door. I wouldn't know how to put one foot in front of the other.
You really think the working class...
They will destroy fascism because it is against their interest.
But in that case, isn't it even more of a mystery?
I see no mystery.
But they adore Hitler. My own cook, my gardeners, the people who work in my forests, my chauffeur, my gamekeeper, they are Nazis. I saw it coming over them, the love for this creature. I saw this adoration in my own house. I admire your faith. All faith is to some degree beautiful, but when I see that yours is based on something so untrue, it's really terribly disturbing.
Excellent, Father. Thank you.
What can I do? I told you 50 times to get out of the city, didn't I? Didn't I?
What? Huh? Talk. Come on, I'm next. What did he say? Huh?
It's not to work.
What?
They have furnaces.
What furnaces? On talk.
He heard the detectives before they were having coffee. They burn people in furnaces. It's not to work. They burn you up in Poland.
That is the most fantastic idiocy I ever heard in my life.
But if your papers are good, there's nothing about Jew on my papers.
They're going to look at your penis.
You can come now.
I'm a master electrician on the railway, Captain. You may have seen me there. I'm classified first priority war worker.
Inside.
You can check with Transport Minister Duquesne.
Are you telling me my business?
No, but we can all use advice from time to time.
Inside!
Right.
That's Maurice, the boss's son. Starting to serve lunch next door.
There's only one guard at the door. 3 men can take him.
I'm afraid I only get in your way. I have no strength in my hands.
You actually believe that, Doctor? About the furnaces?
I believe it's possible, yes. Come, we can do something.
But what good are dead Jews to them? They want free labor. It's senseless. You can say whatever you like, but the Germans are not illogical. There's no conceivable advantage for them in such a thing.
You can be sitting here and still speak of advantages? Is there any rational explanation for your sitting here? But you are sitting here, aren't you?
But an atrocity like that, it's beyond any belief.
That is exactly the point.
You don't believe it, Prince. You can't tell me you believe such a thing.
I find it the most believable atrocity I have heard.
But why?
Because it is so inconceivably vile. That is their power. To do the inconceivable. It paralyzes the rest of us. Many times I used to ask my friends, if you love your country, why is it necessary to hate other countries? To be a good German, why must you despise everything that is not German? Until I realized they do these things not because they are German, but because they are nothing. It is the hallmark of the age. The less you exist, the more important it is to make a clear impression. I can even see them discussing it as a kind of truthfulness. After all, what is self-restraint but hypocrisy? If you really despise Jews, the most honest thing is to burn them up. And the fact that it costs money and uses up trains and personnel only guarantees the purity, the integrity, the existence of their feelings. They would even tell you that only a Jew would think of the cost. They are poets, and they are striving for a new nobility, the nobility of the totally vulgar. You must not calculate these people with some 19th century arithmetic of loss and gain. Their motives are musical. People are merely sounds, they play. And in my opinion, win or lose this war, they have pointed the way to the future. What one used to conceive a human being to be will have no room on this earth. I would do anything to get out.
But they arrested you. There's nothing Jewish about you.
I have an accent. I noticed he reacted when I started to speak. It is an Austrian inflection. He probably thinks I'm some refugee.
Next. You. Inside. Don't be alarmed. I want to check your papers. Come on. Guard! Take him inside the office.
Felix! No!
All right. Get in here, you Jew son of a bitch.
Major! Major!
Professor, wouldn't it be much simpler if they were simply asked?
Will any of you admit right now that you're carrying forged identification papers? So, in short, you're all bona fide Frenchmen. Are there any Jews among you? There's a problem, Major. Either we go house by house investigating everyone's biography, or we make this examination.
That electrician fellow just now, though, I thought he made a point there. In fact, only this morning in the hospital, while I was waiting my turn for X-ray, another officer, a German officer, a captain, in fact, his bathrobe happened to fall open.
It's entirely possible.
It was unmistakable, Professor.
Let me make it clear, Major. The Race Institute does not claim that circumcision is conclusive proof of Jewish blood. The Race Institute recognizes that a small proportion of Gentiles
I see no reason not to say it, Professor. I happen to be so myself.
Well, I would certainly never mistake you for a Jew. Any more than I would mistake a pig for a horse. Science is not capricious, Major. My degree is in racial anthropology. Anyway, we can separate the Gentiles with this examination.
Excuse me. I'll be back in a few minutes. You can carry on without me.
Major, you have your orders. You are in charge of this operation. I insist that you take your place beside me.
I think some mistake has been made here. I'm a line officer. I have no experience with things of this kind. My training is engineering and artillery.
Let me be candid, Major. Are you refusing your assignment?
I'm in pain today, Professor. They are still removing fragments. In fact, I understood I was only to hold this desk down until an SS officer took over. I'm more or less on loan, you see, from the regular army.
The regular army is not exempt from carrying out the racial program.
My orders come from the top, and my report goes to the top. You understand me, Major?
I do, yeah.
If you wish to be relieved, I can easily telephone General von Gotberg.
No, it's all right. I'll be back in a few minutes.
This is bizarre, Major. How long am I supposed to wait for you?
I need a book. I am not used to sitting in an office. I find nothing bizarre in it. I am a line officer, and this business takes a little getting used to. What do you find bizarre in it, Professor?
Very well.
I'll be back in 10 minutes. You can carry on.
I will not continue without you, Major. The army's responsibility is quite as great as mine here.
I won't be long.
Major.
Mister, I try it with you.
What about you two?
Whatever you say, but I'm so hungry I wouldn't do you much good.
You could walk up to him, start an argument, distract his attention.
You're both crazy. They'll shoot you down.
Some of us might make it. Now, there's only one guard at the door. This neighborhood is full of alleyways. You could disappear in 20 yards.
Well, how long would you be free? An hour? And when they catch you, they'll really tear you apart.
Please, I have to get out. I was on my way to the pawn shop. It's my mother's wedding ring. She has no money. They have nothing in the house to eat.
You take my advice, boy. Don't do anything. They'll let you go.
Like the electrician?
He was obviously a communist. And the waiter irritated the captain.
Look, I'll try it with you, Doctor. But don't expect too much, please. I haven't eaten since yesterday. I'm weak as a chicken.
Be better with another man. Please. The boy's very light, but if you and the boy rush him, I can get his gun away.
I am not going to risk my life for nothing. That businessman had a Jewish face. You said so yourself.
I did? I did. Well, maybe that's it. Maybe if your papers are right, maybe that's it.
You know yourself the Germans have been moving into the southern zone. You see they're picking up Jews. A man has just told you that you are marked for destruction.
They took him in. Nobody's explained it.
My accent.
Oh, my dear Prince. Only an idiot could mistake you for anything but an Austrian of the upper class. I took you for nobility the minute you walked in.
And if it's a general checkup, why would they be looking at penises?
Now, there is no evidence of that.
The waiter's boss.
Oh, he overheard 2 French detectives who can't possibly know anything about what happens in Poland. And even if they do that sort of thing, it's not the end either. I had Jew stamped in my passport in Paris, and I was playing Cyrano at the same time.
Cyrano, really? Why'd you leave Paris?
It was an absolutely idiotic accident. I was rooming with another actor, a Gentile. He kept warning me to get out. But naturally, one doesn't just give up a role like that. But one night I let myself be influenced by him. He pointed out that I had a number of books on the forbidden list of communist literature. I mean, things like Sinclair Lewis, Thomas Mann, even a few Friedrich Engels, which everybody was reading at one time. And I decided I might as well get rid of them. And we made bundles. I lived on the 5th floor of a walk-up. We took turns going down to the street, leaving them on benches, in doorways, anywhere at all. It was after midnight. I was just dropping a bundle in the gutter near the opera when I noticed a man standing in a doorway, watching me. At that moment, I realized I had stamped my name and address in every one of those books.
Well, what did you do?
Started walking and kept right on down here to the unoccupied zone. But in my opinion, if I had done nothing at all, I might still be working.
Listen to me for one moment. I beg you. There is only one guard at the door. We may never have a chance like this again.
That's another thing. If we're all that serious, wouldn't they be guarding us more heavily? I mean, that's a point.
That is exactly the point. They are relying on us.
Relying on us?
Yes, to project our own reasonable ideas into their heads. It is reasonable that a light guard means the thing is not important. They rely on our own logic to immobilize ourselves. You have just told us how you walked all through Paris advertising the fact that you own forbidden books.
I didn't do it purposely.
May I suggest that you could no longer bear the tension of remaining in Paris, but you wanted to keep your role in Cyrano and had to find some absolute compulsion in order to save your own life. It was your unconscious mind that saved you. Do you understand? You cannot wager your life on a purely rational analysis of this situation. Listen to your feelings. You must certainly feel the danger here.
I played in Germany. That audience could not burn up actors in a furnace. Prince, you cannot tell me you believe such a thing.
I supported a small orchestra. When the Germans came into Austria, 3 of the players prepared to escape. I convinced them no harm would come to them. I took them to my castle. We all lived together. The oboist was 21. The heart stopped when he played certain tones. They came for him in the garden. They took him out of his chair. The instrument lay on the lawn like a dead bone. I made certain inquiries. He's dead now. What was worse was they sat down and listened until the rehearsal was over, and then they took him. It was almost as if they wished to take him at exactly the moment when he was most beautiful. I know how you feel, but I must tell you that nothing anymore is forbidden. Nothing. I must ask you to forgive me, Doctor.
Will they let you go?
I suppose if all this is to catch Jews, they will let me go, yes?
Would you take this ring and bring it back to my mother? Number 9, Rue Chalot. Top floor, Hirsch, Sarah Hirsch. She's got long brown hair. Be sure it's her. She's got a beauty mark in this cheek. There are 2 other families in the apartment. Please, be sure it's her.
Come. You tell me what to do. I've tried to help.
I'm afraid it's hopeless.
Why?
He's weak with hunger, and the boy's light as a feather. I want to get away, not slaughtered.
If you're trying to bait me, Doctor, forget it.
Would you mind telling me, are you religious?
Not at all.
Then why do you feel this desire to be sacrificed?
I ask you to stop talking.
But you are making a gift of yourself. You're the only able-bodied man here aside from me, and yet you feel no impulse to do something. I don't understand your air of confidence.
I refuse to play a part I do not fit. Everyone's playing the victim these days. Hopeless, hysterical, they always assume the worst. I have papers. I will present them with the single idea that they must be honored. I think that's exactly what saved that businessman. You accuse us of playing the part the Germans created for us. I think you're the one who's doing that by acting so desperate.
And if despite your act they throw you into a freight car?
Well, I don't think they will.
But if they do, you certainly have enough imagination to visualize that.
Then I will have done my best.
You will create yourself and the world will believe it.
Every actor creates himself every day.
And when they tell you to open your fly, how do you regard that moment? Well, please don't stop now. I'm very interested. I believe I'm going to be murdered. What do you believe will happen when they point to that spot between your legs?
I have nothing more to say to you.
I'll tell you what I'll feel. I wish I was him.
But to be someone else?
Yes. To have been arrested by mistake. God, just to see their faces when they realize I'm innocent.
You feel guilty, then?
A little, I guess, yes. Not for anything I've done, but I don't know why.
For being a Jew, perhaps?
I'm not ashamed of being a Jew.
But why feel guilty?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's that they keep saying such terrible things about us. And you can't answer. And after years and years of it, I wouldn't say you believe it, but you do a little. It's a funny thing. I used to say to my mother and father just what you're saying. We were packed for America a month before the invasion. Suddenly, they wouldn't leave Paris. She had this brass bed, carpets, draperies, all kinds of junk, like him with his Cyrano. And I used to tell them, Mama, Papa, you're doing just what they want you to do. But you see, people won't believe that they can be killed.
Do you believe it? Seems to me you don't believe it yourself.
I believe it. I haven't gone outside my room in weeks. Danger outside was always clear to me. But you can get so tired of seeing things clearly, Doctor. I just had to get out today. I had to walk around, see something real, the streets, some storekeepers, anything. Anything but the truth inside my head. And I had hardly turned the corner when that scientist, that motherless son of a bitch, he got out of his car with his fingers going for my nose. So I believe I can die, Doctor. It's just that you get so tired of knowing the truth.
So that one way or the other, we're being trained to die. Jew and the Gentile both.
If you want to commit suicide, Doctor, do it alone. Don't involve others. The fact is, there are laws, and every government enforces its laws. And I want it understood I have nothing to do with any of this.
Every government does not have laws condemning people because of their race.
I beg your pardon. The Russians condemn the middle class. The English condemn the Indians, the Africans, and anybody else they can lay their hands on. The French, the Italians. Every nation condemns someone because of his race, including the Americans and what they do to the Negroes. The vast majority of mankind is condemned because of his race. What do you advise all these people? Suicide?
What do you advise?
I go on the assumption that if I obey the law with dignity, I will live in peace. Now, I may not like the law, but evidently the majority does, or they would overthrow it. And I'm speaking now of the French majority who outnumber the Germans in this town 50-1. These are French police. Don't forget that. Not German. And if by some miracle you should knock out that guard, you would find yourself in a city where not one person in 1,000 would help you. And it's got nothing to do with being Jewish or not Jewish. It's what the world is. So why don't you stop insulting others with your romantic challenges?
So in short, because the world is indifferent, you will wait calmly and with great dignity to open your fly.
I'll tell you what I think. I think it's people like you that brought this on us. People that give Jews a reputation for subversion, and this Talmudic analysis, and this everlasting niggling discontent.
I will tell you that I was wrong before. You didn't advertise your name on those forbidden books in order to find a reason to leave Paris and save your life. It was in order to get yourself caught and put out of your misery. Your heart is conquered territory, mister.
If we meet again, you will pay for that remark.
Conquered territory.
Will you do it? Number 9 Rue Chalot, please.
I will try.
Wait a minute. Where are you going?
Get out.
You can't. It takes 3 men to get out that door.
Try.
Right.
That's impossible. Don't try it. There are sentries on both corners. Captain. Captain. I would only like to say that this is all as inconceivable to me as it is to you. Can you believe that?
I'd believe it better if you shot yourself, and if you took a few of them with you.
We would all be replaced by tomorrow morning.
Some of us might get away, though. You could see to that.
They'd find you very soon.
Not me.
Why do you deserve to live more than I do?
Because I'm incapable of doing what you're doing. Because I'm better for the world than you.
It means nothing to you that I have feelings about this.
Nothing whatsoever. Unless you get us out of here.
And then what? Then what?
I'll love you as long as I live. Will anyone do that now?
That means so much to you. That someone love you.
Would I be worthy of someone's love? Yes. And respect.
It's amazing. You don't understand anything. Nothing of that kind is left. Don't you understand that yet?
What is left of me?
There are no persons anymore. Don't you see that? They will never be persons again. So what do I care if you love me? Are you out of your mind?
And what am I? Huh? A dog that I must be loved? You goddamn Jews. Like dogs. Jew dogs. Then look at him. With his paws folded. Look what happens when I yell at him. You dog!
Doesn't move, does he? Do you see him move? I don't see him move. But we move, don't we? Oh, yeah. We measure your noses, don't we, Herr Professor? And we look at your cocks. And we keep moving continually.
Major,
Get the hands off me, you should be invested.
You're drunk!
Not a word.
Everything stops now. Now it is all stopped. Now you tell me. You tell me. Now nothing is moving. You tell me.
Go ahead now.
What shall I tell you?
You tell me how. You tell me how there can be persons left. I have you at the end of this pistol, and he has me, and somebody has him, and somebody has somebody else. Tell me now.
I told you.
I won't repeat it. What do you think of that? I'm a man of honor. I won't tell them what you advise me to do, huh? Well, listen, it's goddamn decent of me, isn't it, not to repeat your advice? You're a combat veteran.
Yes.
No record of subversive activity against the German authority.
No.
If you were released and the others were kept, would you refuse? Would you refuse?
No.
And walk out that door with a light heart?
I don't know.
Why are you hiding your hands, huh? I'm trying to understand why you are better for this world than I am, so stop hiding your hands! Now, would you go out that door with a light heart? Run to your woman and drink a toast to your skin? Why are you better than anybody else?
I have no duty to make a gift of myself to your sadism.
And I do? To other sadism of myself? I have that duty and you do not? To make a gift of myself?
I have nothing to say.
That's better. Next.
You. Inside.
Come on.
You happy now? You got him furious. You happy?
Next.
Good afternoon, Captain.
Number 9, Rue Charlot, please.
I will give it to her.
I'm a minor. I'm not even 15. Does it apply to minors?
Boy.
I'm a minor. I'm not 15 until February.
Inside.
I could get my birth certificate for you.
Inside.
seems to be watching it all from the stars. I wish we had met under other circumstances. There are a great many things I would have liked to have asked you.
Listen, I would appreciate it if you would do me a favor.
Certainly.
Will you go and tell my wife?
Where is she?
Take the main highway north, 2 kilometers. You'll see a small forest on the left with a dirt road leading into it. You go about 1 kilometer until you see the river, then follow the river to a small mill. There in the tool shed behind the wheel.
And what shall I say?
Well, just say that I was arrested. And there may be a possibility that I... No. Tell her the truth.
What do you mean?
The furnaces. Tell her that.
But actually, that's only a rumor, isn't it?
Oh, I don't regard it as a rumor. And it should be known. I'd never heard about it before. It must be known. But there's no need to let the children hear it. You take her aside. But tell her.
It's just that will be very difficult
I know,
for
but
me.
if it's happening, you can find a way to say it, can't you?
All right, I'll tell her.
Thank you.
They are taking longer with the boy. Maybe he is too young, you suppose? I mean, they would stick to the rules. In fact, with the shortage of physicians, you suppose that they... Would you like to talk about something else? Are you interested, perhaps, in music? Doctor, I can promise you, it will not be easy for me to walk out of here.
I'm afraid it will only be difficult because it is so easy.
I think that's unfair.
It doesn't matter.
It does to me. I was very close to suicide in Austria when they murdered my musicians. Well, not that alone, but when I told the story to many of my friends, there was hardly any reaction. That was almost worse. Do you understand such indifference?
Yes. I do understand such indifference. Listen, about the furnaces, don't mention that to my wife.
Oh, I'm glad you say that. There's really no point.
There is a point. She had an exposed nerve in one tooth, and I went out to get some codeine. There's definitely a point. But just say I was arrested.
Does she have sufficient money?
Well, you could help her that way if you like. Thank you.
The children are small, huh?
2 and 3.
Do you suppose if I offered him something, I can get a hold of a good deal of money?
Well, you might try to feel him out that way. I really don't know what to tell you. You know, it's that we had a perfect hideout. You see, they'd never have found us. And I knew we were senseless the minute I walked out on the road. To risk my life for a goddamn toothache.
But if one loves someone...
Oh, not love anymore. It was just that it's difficult to separate in times like this.
Ah.
But don't mention the furnaces. See, that's a little viciousness of mine.
There is nothing, is that it? For you, there is nothing.
Next. You, inside. You hear me? Why do you sit there? Inside. You can leave that. I said leave that. Can't you hear me? Give me that. Phaeton.
Come on.
Would like to be able to part with your friendship. Is that possible?
I owe you the truth, Prince. You won't believe this now, but you're a decent man, and you should take something away from this atrocity. Each man has his Jew. It is the other. And the Jews have their Jews. And now above all, you must see that you have yours. The man whose death leaves you relieved that you are not him, despite your decency. And that is why there is nothing, and will be nothing, until you accept your own complicity in this, your own humanity.
I deny that. I deny that absolutely. I have never spoken one word against your people. Is that your implication? That I have something to do with this monstrousness?
Prince, you asked me before if I knew your cousin, Baron Kessler. Baron Kessler is a Nazi. He helped to remove all the Jewish doctors from the medical school. You were aware of that, weren't you? You must have heard that at some time or other, didn't you?
Yes, I heard it. But I had forgotten it. You see, he was...
Your cousin. I understand. In any case, it's only a small part of Baron Kessler to you, but it is all of Baron Kessler to me. And when you said his name, it was with love. And I'm sure he must be a man of some kindness with whom you can see eye to eye in many things. But when I hear that name, I see a knife. You see now why there is nothing and will be nothing when even you cannot put yourself in my place. Even you. And that's why your thoughts of suicide don't move me. Because it's not your guilt I want. It's your responsibility. That might have helped. If you had understood that Baron Kessler was in part, some small but frightful part, doing your will, you might have done something then. With your name and your standing and your decency. Aside from shooting yourself.
What can ever save us?
Next. Come inside.
Empty, Vic. Number 9, Rue Charlot.
What will happen to you?
Go.
You don't owe me this. I didn't ask you for this.
Go, go.
Next. Prince von Berg, where's your pass? Got it! A man has escaped! What? A man has escaped!
Oh,
the hell! Let him out! Contact ladder! Contact man! What happened here? Huh?
The Broadway Theater Archive.
If I could be any one of us.
Not a real one.
Don't you dare say I'm dependent upon you because I'm not.
Truly speak to you.
Of all the pain.
No big role for this
I look
actor.
up and I count the cadence.
A woman who cannot keep her lusts under control.
So are you.
I'm not a dime a dozen. I'm Willie Loman, and you're Biff Loman.
Pop, I'm not a leader of men, and neither are you. You were never anything but a hard-working drummer who landed in the ash can like all the rest of them. I'm $1 an hour, Willie. I tried 7 states and couldn't raise it $1 an hour. Do you
vengeful, spiteful. I'm nothing. I'm nothing. Can't you understand that?
Got it better than you? I never had a home either. I'm looking too.
So what?
So you're it. You're home for me, a place to live. That's the whole parade. Sickness eating out your heart. Sometimes you meet a girl, she stops it. That's love. So take a chance. Be with me, paradise. What's to lose?
My pride.
What the hell do you want? Say the word and I'll tango on a dime. Don't give me ice when your heart's on fire.
Periods, the colons, the semicolons, the question marks, where?
Oh, you're just writing, mister.
Perhaps he's put all the punctuation on the last page. No, I do not see them. In the middle, perhaps. They must be stored in the middle. No, they are not in the middle. So I will shake the pages. Let's see if they fall out.
It's just writing, mister.
Because he doesn't know how to write. I'll get Maria to help you sober up. You're not fit for decent men to be seen with.
Did you think that? Did you think that when you lied to me in London and I let you marry me in the City Hall because you said you couldn't wait for the band, you wanted me so much? Did you think that when you had me in the bed in sacrilege above the corpse of your true wedded wife?
Three children.
Oh, really?
Youngest.
You were?
Oh, yes.
One of 7?
7?
Large families in those days.
Oh, yes.
Family life.
Oh, yes.
Society without it wouldn't be what it is today.
No, no.
Still.
Yes?
We have a very wonderful example.
Oh, my word.
Times I don't know where some of us would be without it.
No, no, not at all.
You were a little squab and you laid right down in the sand with me under the boardwalk.
So what?
Purely horizontal.
Did I say I was ice? With Ben running races the whole summer in Europe? Happened like that. Down the island, the summer, the night, and all that. I'm not sorry for the thing I done.
Little you know of love, and you never will. For there's the same devil of pride in you that's in him, and it'll keep you from giving all of yourself, and that's what love is.
I could give all of myself if I wanted to, but
If wanted to. Fakes, that proves how little of love you know when you prate about ifs and want-tos.
Leela, why don't you go out with me tonight? I've always wanted to do this. We can go to a bar, not too sleazy, but also not a place where 2 nice girls usually go. And we'll sit alone, just you and I, with our 2 Brandy Alexanders, and we won't need any outside attention. We'll be 2 uncommon women. Mysterious, but proud. All right. I would like that. See, Leela, I understand a little. It's debilitating constantly seeing your worth in terms of someone else.
Miss Alma, you have that mysterious something as thin as smoke that makes the difference between a human and all other beings. An hour isn't a lifetime for you.
Give me the hour and I'll make a lifetime of it.
For you, Miss Alma, the name of the stone angel is barely long enough. And nothing less than that could be.
What is the answer, John?
We will have rings and things and fine array and... Kiss me, Kate.
The Broadway Theater Archive.
If I could be any one of us.
Not a real one.
Don't you dare say I'm dependent upon you because I'm not.
Truly speak to you.
Of all the pain.
No great role for this act.
Look up and I count the Katie's.
A woman who cannot keep her lusts under